Welcome for this discussion, and I'm very pleased to welcome you in this session because that's a very important issue, main obstacles and solutions to investment in Africa. And the importance and timing of this discussion, of this sharing of experience that we will have, cannot be understated, because it comes at a time of mounting economic, social and environmental challenges, which highlight the crucial role of investment as a driver of equitable economic and social growth. I hope, of course, that your exchanges will play its part in helping African countries to develop a current, consolidated and coordinated approach towards investment policymaking. This is particularly important today when trade and investment relations are undergoing important recalibration at the international level. As you have witnessed since yesterday, we are hosting at this World Investment Forum 2018 an immensely diversified body of stakeholders and participants representing the international investment and development community. And in this boiling Palais des Nations, let me first of all thank our partners for this particular session, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation and the Islamic Development Bank, for their long-standing support and cooperation on issues related to investment policies for sustainable development. Our fruitful partnership has a long history, and we look forward to strengthening it even more in the next period and years. And this well-attended session attests not only of the importance of investment in unlocking the huge potential of African economies, but also the relevance of the cooperation between UNCTAD, the OIC, and the IDB for the common goal of assisting African countries in harnessing investment for sustainable development. We should, however, also recognize that there is a need to address the current obstacles to investment in the continent and the need to develop new strategic ties and partnerships between foreign investors and African government based on new generation investment policies that guarantee a balance between investment protection and the right of African countries to regulate for public policy objectives. This is exactly what UNCTAD and the OIC are pursuing. And we are jointly developing a set of non-binding guiding principles for investment policies that can be used to assist OIC and African countries in creating more modern investment rules at the national and international levels. These principles are covering areas such as policy coherence, balanced rights and obligation, the right to regulate, openness to investment, investment protection, and intra-OIC cooperation. Those principles, which are in line with the OIC action program, were reviewed favorably at a high-level expert meeting organized by the Islamic Center for Development of Trade and UNCTAD in January 2018. Cooperation between UNCTAD, the OIC, and the IDB on investment issues also focus on building the capacity of African negotiators of international investment agreements. Our joint annual workshop for African countries on this issue, for instance, has so far trained over more or less 350 government officials in charge of investment policy and strategy issues, in particular the negotiation of IIS and the management of investor-state dispute settlement cases. We are also very keen to hear your views and how the OIC, the IDB, and UNCTAD can better support African countries in the formulation of investment policies that are conducive to sustainable development and inclusive growth. Finally, let me reiterate that UNCTAD stands ready to continue and to strengthen its support and technical assistance on issues related to investment policies. And in this regard, I'm happy to announce that the next annual workshop for African countries members of the IDB will take place in Casablanca, Morocco, from 18 to 20 December 2018. You have blocked your busy calendars. You have traveled a long way. You have a lot in your speaking notes, in your statements, which you wish to share with us. And so I shall not take any more time of your time to introduce the things. We are, of course, delighted to have the opportunity to listen to you for the next 2 hours, discussing how to alleviate investment obstacles in Africa and how to ensure that policies in place contribute to sustainable development. You will also understand that in this with so many activities and workshops, I have to run from one to another. So I say that I was happy to listen, but I will not listen. But of course, friends of UNCTAD are in the room in order to work and to listen to your experience. So apologize me because a lot of activities needs the presence of the SG of myself. So I hope a fruitful discussion. I hope a very good or very better, if it's possible, cooperation with OIC and IDB. And I hope for you an interesting discussion and that this forum could be for you an important moment to go further in your own capacities, responsibilities, and duties. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. So I would like to thank Mrs. Durand for her welcoming remarks. And I have the pleasure to moderate this panel on the main obstacles and solutions to investment in Africa. So I'm the OIC, my name is Nassima Bagli, I'm the OIC ambassador here in Geneva, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So as you know, many African countries are members of the OIC, and for this reason, OIC and its subsidiary bodies are working and are undertaking studies on the best possible ways to promote investments in Africa. African countries are full of opportunities for investments. They are very eager to diversify their economies and to create the necessary conditions to receive investments. As mentioned in the guiding principles for investment policy making for member states of the OIC, developed by UNCTAD, the investment policies should be grounded in the country's overall development strategy and should be balanced in setting out rights and obligations of states and investors in the interest of development for all. In that sense, we can say that the 2030 Agenda and the OIC Programme of Action 2025 are complementary. So regarding the composition of the panel discussion we have today, so we are going to have 3 representatives from 3 OIC subsidiary bodies. So namely, first, Mr. Mamadou Bokarsal from the Islamic Center for Development and Trade, ICDT, based in Casablanca. Then Mr. Jamal Arib from the Islamic Corporation for Insurance of Investment and Export Credit, based in Jeddah. So ISIC is affiliated to the IDB group and responsible for insurance of credit investment. Okay? And then we are going to have Mr. Jem Tintin from Statistical, yes, the right side, from Statistical Economic and Social Research and Training Center for Islamic Studies, SUSLIC, based in Ankara, Turkey. So I should say that the Director Generals of these 3 bodies were supposed to be with us today, but unfortunately they couldn't make it because they have a meeting in Jeddah. So really they wanted to be with us today, but they appointed their representatives, so we are very happy to have you here. And then we are going to listen to Dr. Ayad Al-Otaibi, who is Deputy Governor for Investment Climate, Saudi Arabian General Investment Authority, SEDIA, and Mrs. Patience Okala from the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. So both, you are going to give us your national perspective regarding the promotion of investment in Africa. So Mr. Ayad from the Saudi Arabia perspective and Mrs. Patience Okala from the Nigerian perspective. And last but not least, on the left, we are going to listen to Mr. Nabil Mark Abdul Masih from Inox Capital, which is an asset manager of collective investment schemes active in providing capital in sustainable and impactful manner. So who will give us the view of the private sector. So without further ado, I will give the floor to the first panelist, Mr. Mamoudou Bokorsal from the ICDT. But first of all, I will just say a few words about your career, Mr. Sal. So Mr. Sal will highlight the role played by the Center on Investment Facilitation and Promotion in the OIC African countries. He will share with us some recommendations from different workshops and elaborate a little bit on the preparations of the guiding principles for investment policies. I think that you are a head of studies and training department at the ICDT, and you have been working there for many years, I think. How long? 25 years, so it's really wonderful. Okay, so Mr.